but this is going to do so much good because that has done good for millions, literally.
You know, I was HIV positive, so I was living somebody else's dream, somebody else's goal. That didn't work for me because I tried to commit suicide. Enough of the pity party, let's, figure this out and move forward. This is something that people need to know. This is something that I can teach, that I can give to somebody else.
Winning a gold medal can actually bring you down.
Your mind is a playground. Play with it and enjoy it. Have fun with it.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted to take back your life, then do we have the Greg Louganis show for you. Today I'll be talking with Greg Louganis, one of my all-time favorite spiritual beings in human form I've ever had the honor to witness, even though he doesn't know that till now. Today we're going to take a deep dive into being you, why it's so critically important, and what it truly means for everyone else is taken. That plus we'll talk about G-Man, Pax and Roxy, the power of the whiz, final birthday parties, discovering one's parents, a bump on the head heard round the world, and what on earth Scooby-Doo has to do with anything. So welcome to the show, Greg. Are you ready to shine?
I'm ready.
Woohoo! All right, before we dive right into things, who is G-Man and what's he all about?
G-Man is my Hungarian Pumi, and he's 7 months old today. And I'm training, preparing him for dog agility. So I compete in dog agility. So he's on the road to being a dog agility.
Very cool. What has taken, because I like to say I am dog. I guess I'm dog in remission right now. I'm missing my dog self. I've got my rooster self going on right now, which works. What is it that has attracted you to dogs, to dog agility, to everything dog related? I've even seen videos of you rollerblading, like after the Olympics with greyhounds. What's attracted you to dog?
Those are Great Danes.
Excuse me, Great Danes. Yes, Marmaduke.
Yeah, Marmaduke. Yeah, Scooby. All of the But yeah, I started with Great Danes, and I was a lot more comfortable with animals than I was with people. So it was just that connection, and I did show in confirmation. I showed it at Westminster, and then I competed in obedience with my Jack Russell Terrier, and she was hysterical, Nipper. She's actually in the picture behind me, but she was incredible. It was so funny because like when I would enter her in, doing the obedience, what we had to go through, the exercises we had to go through, we never knew what she was going to do. So, I mean, she'd be in the heel position, but she'd be bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down. When I called her for her recall, she would bounce off my thighs and then land in a sit. It was just points off. So we never knew what she was going to do. One time she, on the retrieve, it was a really hot day. She picked up the dumbbell, looked at me, and it was really hot. And she went over into the shade of a tree. And oh well, but she was awesome, and she's the one who introduced me to dog agility. We just happened onto a park that we were training at, and they had all this equipment, and jumps and tunnels and weed poles and dog walk teeter, A-frame, and I thought it was interesting, and she just took to it. She loved it. So we almost made world team, but we competed on a national level. So now I've got a new group of pups now, and making our way back into the dog agility world.
I love it. And this is kind of taking, in a sense, it takes the spotlight off of you. You get to use all of your skills.
Yeah, it was funny because like people, when I first got the Great Danes, said, "Oh, you're just trying to hide behind your Great Danes." So people noticed the dogs and not you. And it's like, yeah, but it's nice, that the focus is on the dogs, and also dog people. I mean, they're crazy and wonderful and all about their dogs, and I really enjoy that.
Very, very cool. I'm thinking about myself walking along like Las Vegas Strip or down here in Palm Springs. I never, ever, 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 ever or spotted or recognized. I don't have the recognition that you do, but I am never spotted because I'm holding a rooster.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Oh, the Rooster Guy.
Yes, exactly. The rooster. I'm like, "Oh, that is perfect." So I guess on that note, we've got to dive into there. Please forgive me. Who is Greg Louganis?
Um, that's a good question. It depends on. I mean, I go through like my Facebook friends and all that, and it's like, okay, who are they? And it's like, okay, dogs. And then who is that? Oh yeah, diving. Who is that? Oh yeah, theater. And then it's such a strange, odd, eclectic group of individuals that are a part of my life, that are parts of my personality, I guess. So I think that it depends on who you talk to, in answering the question, who is Greg Louganis?
Okay, I'm going to dive deeper if it's all right with you. If I was to put you on the mat, you've just finished your yoga practice, you've sat, you're in a state of ah, because it's tension and release. Now, who is Greg?
Just a kind, gentle soul.
Can't be any better than that, can you? So, let's go a little bit into your story if we can. And I'm going to start at the end rather than the beginning, which is, why do you feel you were put here or brought here or chose to come here?
It's interesting that you asked that because I spent my youth. I was very depressed. Tried suicide, a few times, and my last suicide attempt, it was like, rather than putting the energy into trying to off myself, why don't I try and figure out why I'm here? And so, that has been, it really has evolved. It's evolved from, when, my diving, having all of these records and all that. And that's kind of how I identified and people recognized me. And then beyond that, it was, it was about coming to terms with my own sexual identity, as well as, I was HIV positive. So, coming out about that, and, and then, I mean, people label me as like an activist, and I don't really view myself as an activist. I'm just living my life authentically. So it's, it may have the twinges of, activism, just because of the things that I kind of speak out about and stand up for. So, it really has evolved. And, now it's, trying to do as much good, to be in service to others. I have a program, Meditation in Motion, which I'm, working on getting out there. And my goal is to get it out to every child in the world. Just because we oftentimes, with all the technology and all, we get distracted. We pour ourselves into the technology, but what I do in meditation in motion, I convert all of those elements of meditation, breath, body awareness, and visualization, into games. So I'm teaching a lot of adults. So, but I really like them to take those exercises, to take those tools that they learn, and share them with their kids. Because that's when I learned visualization, is when I was 3 years old. That's how I interpreted what my dance instructor was telling. So, I had my first performance on stage when I was 3, And so, and before the recital, like have my costume, I have a top hat and a cane. It's like, so some of the choreography changed. And I think my teacher was so frustrated, said, okay, do the routine fluid and put the music on and left the room. Well, my interpretation of that was, okay, imagine myself doing the routine and making it fluid. And that was my interpretation. So then it took 4 times. And then I found my teacher in her office and I said, okay, I made it fluid. And she came back into the studio. She turned up the tempo. So it was faster than I would be performing.
Yeah.
She said, make it fluid. And then she put the music on and I made it fluid. And she said, okay, you're ready. Which was really very smart because a 3-year-old, had I done the routine over and over and over and over again, I was only 3 years old, my muscles would have been so fatigued, I wouldn't have been able to perform. So that was my introduction to visualization. And I just thought everybody did it. So it was interesting, an interesting process to kind of deconstruct all of those elements and be able to teach it. And so that's what meditation in motion is.
So cool on so many different levels because, I mean, first off, you've got deliberate feedback and you've got an Anders Ericsson and you've got a 10,000 hour rule and we've got perfect practice makes perfect. And we've got neurons that fire together, wire together. At 3 years of age, you are realizing it's something that I teach. I call it going into the space capsule. You're going into the space capsule of your mind and you're dancing your little heart out and it was perfect practice. And so then, of course, you brought it into this reality.
Yeah. And, and the thing is, cause like when I work with divers, swimmers, water polo players, ballroom dancers. I work on, with so many different high level, cliff divers, so many different, levels and dog agility. And the one thing that I stress to the people that I work with is, not always, don't visualize perfect, explore, your mind is a playground, play with it and enjoy it, have fun with it, and when I was diving, in a major competition like the Olympic Games and, the night before the prelims or, semis or finals, I would go through, in order to rest, to sleep the night before, I would go through my dives in the venue that I was going to be performing in, fill the seats with the audience, put the cameramen where they were going to be, and go through my dives the way that I was going to perform them the next day. And oftentimes, if I was typically back on the board or over the end of the board or whatever that might be, I would visualize that to be able to get into the mind flow of being successful. It's not about perfection per se, but it's being as good as you can be in that moment in time.
I'm teaching a book right now, and truth be told, I'm channeling. It's a whole nother thing that has come out in my life that I didn't even know I could do, and we actually wrote a book on it now, teaching people how to channel. And so I'm channeling Florence Scovel Shinn, who wrote The Game of Life and How to Play It. And what you are describing sounds like it's flirting with playing rather than winning, which to me, I'm biased, has an even better outcome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how else can you break world records? Because you're venturing into unknown territory. You're venturing into territory that nobody's been before. So how can you do that unless you play? Unless you allow yourself the imagination to push through those those limited thoughts, and it's funny because you say channeling, and for me, I feel like I have angels that are guiding.
No. Pause. Yes. I write to Archangel Michael,
Yeah.
Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel, and now Uriel has come in. In fact, I was talking with Uriel this morning. She was talking to me about a beautiful spiritual concept, and all of a sudden a coyote came on the deck and started howling. And she's like,
Yeah.
so you get it. All right. I'm so now you've got a kid in the candy store, Greg. That's what this is all about. You brought in the angels.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there have been so many times that I remember one time when I was a young kid. I mean, we were at a competition, the Far West competition up in Northern California, and so I must have been probably around 12, 11 or 12, and I forgot my sandals at the pool, and so we went to the hotel, packed everything up. I forgot the sandals at the pool. So we had to go back to the pool, pick up my sandals, and get on the road. And we were near San Francisco. I want to say Sacramento, Northern California, and we were driving back down to Southern California. And so we were two families who were kind of caravanning together. And, I was with one family, and when we got to Bakersfield, there was this huge sandstorm where there was like major pileup, and when we hit it, we were motioned off the road. We had to get a hotel. We couldn't go through. And so we heard about all of, these, this tragic accidents that were happening because there was zero visibility and all that. But we all pulled off and pulled into a hotel, found each other, and realized, had we not gone back to the pool, had we kept to the schedule, we would have been either right at the beginning of it or right in the middle of it.
All right. I'm going to go there with you. Please forgive me. If angels are always by our sides and are always guiding us, now, first off, they can save our butts. Second off, we can ask for help. And I want to get your take on all of this. But if we go back then to the springboard accident, was that a cosmic setup?
Yeah, I can't, who knows? I mean, that's the other thing. I don't judge it. I'm aware of it, and things happen, and then you deal with the situation. There were a number of things that happened in that instant because my coach, his mother went into a coma when we landed in Seoul. And then she passed while we were in Seoul. So my coach, Ron O'Brien, didn't know if he was going to be staying with us or going back home and taking care of stuff. He decided to stay. So he was distracted. I was, everybody expected me to bring home 2 golds. And so there was a lot of expectation. And so, so in that instant that I hit my head on the board, I mean, it's almost like kind of a wake up call to both of us to pay attention, that nothing's guaranteed and that, ultimately we had to focus, one dive at a time, one moment at a time. And I think that kind of brought things back into focus of what was important at that moment in time.
Would you say that it has had I know you said no judgment, however, a positive trajectory on your life?
Well, it has because, there was so much going on because 6 months prior to those Olympic Games, I was diagnosed with HIV. The only medication that we had available to us was AZT. So every 4 hours, I had my alarm clock that was going off to remind myself to take my 2 AZT pills. And so, I had to get up in the middle of the night, in the middle of the morning. And so there was a lot surrounding that. And also, what it, looking back, I mean, look at the effect that it had. I mean, me hitting my head, the debates on what my responsibility was because I was HIV positive. It opened up communication surrounding HIV/AIDS. It opened up a lot of people's hearts, really, of what that situation, what it meant, or I mean, I got my, fair of critics, saying how selfish I was, but it opened up the lines of communication. It opened up so many things to be able to talk about, whether it's HIV/AIDS education awareness, whether it's LGBTQAI sensitivity. But I think that it furthered our evolution, really, to have those conversations, to open the doors to have the conversations and have the discussions and sharing, learning more about other people.
Woohoo. It sounds like it's easy for me to say on the sidelines. It sounds like it was a cosmic gift.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, everything's a gift. I knew I was going to be close to the board when I took off, and then I thought I had gotten past the board, and I heard this big hollow thud, and I was thinking, what was that? And I go crashing in the water. I said, oh shit, that was my head. And the first emotion that I felt was embarrassed. I mean, I was embarrassed. I was thinking, how do I get out of this pool without anybody seeing me? Because I mean, this is the Olympics. I'm supposed to be a pretty good diver, and pretty good divers don't go hitting their heads on the board, So, and then, I mean, everything that happened after that, I think that, it was just, it was like it was necessary.
That's how I see it. When I look back at the story of your life, and that's why I call it a cosmic setup, I believe it was perfectly scripted for the arc, the arc of your life. And so I look at angels going, we're going to give them just a little tumble here, so to speak. But this is going to do so much good, because that has done good for millions, literally.
Yeah. And the thing about that is, I mean, all these years later, if you're of a certain age and you had, been watching the Olympics, you may not have even had to have been following diving, but you saw the news, and you saw me hitting my head. If an event happens and there's a visceral response, it kind of burns that memory in your memory banks. It's like when the Twin Towers went down, everybody knows where they were, and because those images are kind of burnt in there, if you have a visceral response, it just really, increases, the memorabilia, being able to remember all of those things. And that's what people remember. People remember me hitting my head, on the springboard. And so it really was very impactful.
Let's go from there. I'm going to dive into angels a little bit. We're going to have fun with this. A lot of my talks recently have been on angels. I had no intention of going to angels today. What is your earliest... I'm going back to your childhood, and to me, you were just so internal is the only way I can describe it. You were in your own world. Maybe you had to be to feel like you could survive. When did you start going to anything inside, outside, or other of yourself to be able to pull yourself through?
Oh gosh, when I was a child, because one, I was adopted, and I was pretty dark skinned, especially in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, and so and also when we moved to El Cajon. There were a lot of girls in the neighborhood, but not a lot of boys. And so, I spent my time in the canyons, hiking in the canyons, catching lizards and snakes and all that. and and talking to the animals and having my imaginary friends, and that was my playground. I always wanted to be Dr. Doolittle.
And now, in a sense, you are. I think we both are here. Our home is filled with, no matter where we go, it ends up, there's bribery involved, filled with squirrels and chipmunks and the coyote who come and every other animal. And I expect nothing less from you in your life, being surrounded by animals. I imagine mom played a role in this picture.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, my mom was incredibly supportive, and taught me what unconditional love was. And I would, and also, I mean, she let me keep some of the snakes and lizards that I would, that, that- so, but I had to learn how to take care of them. So that was the one thing. If you can't take care of it, then it doesn't belong to you, or you don't deserve it, kind of thing. So I learned how to take care of various animals that might be ailing. I nursed a lot of lizards growing up. Actually, there was an older boy at the end of our street that. Actually, what happened, he shot an eagle, and then they found the nest. It was it and then he rescued the little ones, and learned all about conservation and all that, and husbandry, with the eagle. Taught him to come back. It was a red-tailed hawk. I think it was a hawk. And so I was like right there. I was like, oh, let me see him, And so, yeah, so we went through that, and that red-tailed hawk would come, around once a year. We'd see him. It's like, oh, there he is. So it was great. We also had a fox in the neighborhood that, I just, he'd come up, and I'd feed him, and just, let him go. And, he'd come visit every once in a while, which was cool.
We have right now, I'm sure if I look out the window for too long, my heartstrings will be pulling because we have a line throughout the day now of roadrunners who have our number. And they
Ah,
will queue up, and there's one roadrunner, her name is Blue. And apparently it's hard to tell the sex of a roadrunner, but we can tell because she will take the food and go running. And she's going running for the fam. And she's going to run a few blocks away to meet her fam. And then she's going to come back and go, bop, 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 bop.
that's great.
And look at us. So as you're growing up, did you feel a special connection to spirit or to the angels, clearly to the earth, to Mother Nature? Was there this communication that was there?
Um, I would say I would feel it, and also, I mean, growing up, we had seances and all, calling spirits in and all that. And, I really, enjoyed exploring that, really enjoyed exploring that. And, whether, and we go away, it's like, God, was that real? And we question, but, yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed the exploration, the curiosity, and also, not to judge it. I mean, my dear friend is, James von Prague, and yeah, and so James, I just, adore him. And it's funny because, like, he was doing an event, and I met him, down in Laguna Beach, and we went out to dinner. And I'm not going to ask him for a reading. We're friends, and we were just sitting down at dinner. And I said, Greg, I just have to tell you, it's so distracting. You have so many animals around you, and your mother's, right behind your right shoulder. It's like, yeah, I know.
Woohoo! All right, let's see how we can pull this all together here. This is so, so cool. I'm racing in Europe. I'm trying to make it to the Tour de France. I'm waved by a safety official into an oncoming car that had gotten out an alley. And that was my trying to make it to the tour career. I didn't know what I know now. If I know what I knew now, I'd be fine. That would have been just a hiccup on the road. But it's all meant to be as far as I can tell. And it was 7 glorious years of PTSD and pain, which served me well. But in the moment I thought, God is dead, there is no God. And I went into a very deep depression and deep hole thinking I'm all alone. And I'm wondering if you've had that experience as well, and what you did and how you came to reestablish that connection.
Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with depression, PTSD, and any of the trauma, oftentimes we believe we believe that we're alone. And I've had those times, where isolating, just not really engaging in my life and not wanting to engage in my life, but inevitably something happens and it kind of wakes you up, or it did for me. It's like, okay, enough of the pity party, let's, figure this out and move forward. And so much is surrounding forgiveness. So much of our whole mentality is surrounding the forgiveness, because oftentimes what we're doing is we're holding on to, resentments. We're holding on to shame or guilt or any of those things. There was a period of time when, with the whole AIDS crisis, it's like, okay, why am I here? This makes no sense to me. All these wonderful, wonderful people are gone, and, they're not, I'm not nearly as good as they were, so why am I here? But then you get to the other side of that, or I've gotten to the other side of that and say, well, you know what? To honor those, is it's important for me to be here, and to be on purpose, whatever that purpose is. I also wrote this whole thing because everybody's talking about purpose. Oh, you have to have this incredible purpose, and it's like, well, even if you don't have that, just the act of living your life purposefully, being in service to others, being, having that curiosity, you'll find your purpose in there. So many, different things, causes, and which really amplifies, who you are and why you're here.
Thank you. It brings up a really interesting point, because I talk about one of the, it's crazy, but I know you get it. One of the darkest, greatest days, it's hard to even put into words. Winning a gold medal can actually bring you down, because it means you're done. You hit what you thought. The best way to describe it is, correct me if you feel it's otherwise, your purpose is not your purpose. Your purpose is to live life to the fullest. If you think your purpose is to get a gold medal or to get a this or to do a that.
Yeah. Well, I lived that in my diving career, because when my first Olympics, I was 16, and I was taking on somebody else's goal, because Dr. Sammy Lee won 2 gold medals in 48 and 52. He coached Bobby Webster, who won golds, in platform in 60, 64. And then Klaus DiBiase was going for his 3rd Olympic gold medal. My sole purpose at the age of 16 was to prevent Klaus from winning that gold medal. That was my sole purpose, to be on this earth. And I failed.
I'm going to put that in quotes for you there. I'm definitely going to quote that one up. Yes.
Yeah. And the thing is, I was living somebody else's dream, somebody else's goal. That didn't work for me because I tried to commit suicide, a year later, thinking it was so confusing. All these people were celebrating me for a silver medal, and it was like I was a loser because I didn't win. And then when I went to my coach, Juan O'Brien, that all shifted because then it was a focus on the performance. So that was, that's probably the reason why I was able to go. We missed the games in 80 because we didn't send a team. But in 84, I got 2 gold medals. And then 84 to 88, it wasn't about the gold medals. It was about my performance goals that we had set. And some of my performance goals I didn't achieve. There was always something, that was out there, and I was working towards it. Breaking 800 on 3-meter springboard, that was one of the goals that I didn't meet. Getting 50 national titles. I got 47 national titles. So it's, as long as you're moving, that's the thing with a lot of goals. Once you reach a goal, then sure, enjoy it, celebrate it. But then if you're planning on retiring, that's good. And you can move on because then you have that experience in your toolbox. But if you plan to continue on, then you have to reassess your goals and rework that so that you're always working on being a little better than you were yesterday.
Thank you. You hit such a key word that I'm pulling on the golden thread of Greg's life so far. And I'm coming up with 2 key themes. One, which is, they're both the same and they're different, but we're going to sew these together. One is, your life is, I like to say, we want to live life as living art. And that is what you're talking about, is the focus on the performance. You were a performer since 1.5, from what I understand. So
3. I was performing on stage when I was 3.
Perfect. You were tumbling at 1.5 though?
Yeah, I started dance and acrobatics when I was 1.5 years.
So you were performing at 1.5.
Yeah. Okay.
We're viewing life as a performance. How can I be a better performer at the game of life? And you now, with the dogs and with helping others to perform, you're still honing that craft of performance.
Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting because like when you take it with diving, I love the fact that, my sport was diving. Because in the 3-meter springboard event, we had 11 dives at that time. 11 dives. And so you go through the prelims and semis with 11 dives. Then you repeat those 11 dives in the finals. So that's 22 opportunities to practice peak performance. A dive takes less than 3 seconds. So each one of those dives is a creation. Mm-hmm. So you have the ability to have 22 creations that you create. And then on 10-meter platform, you have 10 dives. And then if you're prelims finals, then, that's another, 20 dives. So that's 42 dives, 42 opportunities in a single competition to practice peak performance. So it's a great opportunity to learn about peak performance because you have so many opportunities to practice it.
And I'm just bringing it back to art. So many opportunities. You're a performer. You're going through the full...
That is my art.
That's where I'm going. But you, in 3 seconds, you're telling a full story. You're a storyteller. And 3-second bits, 1 minute and 6 seconds total. But you are telling a story. You can watch your toes as you go in. You can watch your body position. And you're a ballet dancer in the air. You are telling a story. And the story is the arc of your life. It is going through the challenges. It is going through the isolating. It is going through the depression is going through each of those pieces to all of a sudden being in this glorious dancing pose as you enter the water. You're telling the full story. 22 seconds over, or 22 times over, you get to tell a story.
And that's just one competition. Because we have many competitions leading up to that. We have pre-Olympics, we have world championships, we have Pan American Games, we have nationals, we have Olympic festivals, we have so many opportunities to practice that.
So take us forward, if you don't mind. Let's go to the story of post-Olympics, where you don't necessarily know what the story is to tell anymore. How do you find yourself again?
That's really challenging, because it's like, well, okay, diving, it's interesting because with diving, I lived my life on the quadrennial. So every 4 years we knew where we set up. You go through the World Championships and Pan American Games to see, okay, am I on schedule? Am I going in the right direction? Do I need to change anything? Do I need any adjustment? And so you get that awareness, that knowledge of how you're stacking up, how you're developing, how you're growing. And if you're growing in the right direction. But real life doesn't work that way. And I think this is what so many athletes have a difficult time. I had a difficult time with that. Yeah. It's like, okay, what do I do now? Because there is that high after a major competition. And if you're successful, you can ride that wave for a little while. Mm-hmm. Then there's definitely a valley that you go through, the post-Olympic blues. And so, going through that, oftentimes that's where you find your next purpose, your next challenge. And oftentimes it can take you to some pretty dark places. And then getting out of those dark places, it's like, oh, wow, it's like, this is something that people need to know. This is something that I can teach, that I can give to somebody else.
How did you do that? Because if I add some of the ones that we know, you're in or at the end of an abusive relationship, you're HIV positive, you're ending your career, you're treated, I'm going to use the term pariah. I mean it sucks, but all that glitters is not gold. You've got gold, but you don't have gold, which is the most bizarre thing in the world. How did you find, what was your process, Greg? How did you, my only guess is that there was a lot of lostedness on the way to foundedness.
Well, yeah, I mean, the one thing that, it was an interesting transition because, I had I had studied theater in college, so I wanted to go in that direction. And so I was cast in Jeffrey, the show Jeffrey, and every night it was about gay dating in the 80s, 90s, and it was a comedy. And I played Darius, who was a chorus boy with an 8th grade education, lived in a penthouse, didn't pay rent. Dumb, huh? And so that's the character. And I was able to face my fantasies and fears each night, every night that we performed, because he was out and proud. He was, really out there. And he died of complications with AIDS. But I felt that he delivered the most poignant message in the play, is to tell Jeffrey to hate AIDS, not life. And so in that process of doing this show I think I was with the show for about 6 months in New York. And, I reached out to a dear friend of mine and I said, I think I want to write a book. And so, because I knew that was the next the next step on my journey, because I felt like, being HIV positive, I felt like I was on an island, living on an island with barely a phone for communication to the outside world. And I knew that if I felt like this, then there were other people like me out there. And so I felt that I needed to share that story. And so, there was born Breaking the Surface. And, my book, and it was published in 1995. And so that was incredible, because I felt like I thought I was sharing my weaknesses by sharing my sexual identity, my HIV status, my abusive relationship, my dyslexia, my, stuttering, my speech impediment, all of those things I perceived as weaknesses. I realized by sharing my weaknesses, I was actually sharing my strength. Because when I was on book tour, then people were coming up to me and saying, "Oh my God, you saved my life," because they were feeling the same way. And then it allowed them to realize that they aren't alone, that there's somebody else, and so it was very impactful and very meaningful. So that's what helped give my life meaning.
And then what do you, thank you, when people, well, you worked for a while, you may still do, with Olympic athletes, but particularly on the other side. How do you help people on the other side of what they perceived their life was all about, to find their true, what I call their PPD, their purpose, their path, their direction, which to me means, how do we give them that inner lifeline?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, you have to understand. It is when, when something is so in the forefront, like my diving, and so much a part of my identity, when that isn't there anymore, you have to make a shift in who you are. And it's almost like losing a friend or a parent or sibling. It's that type of grief, that you kind of go through. And then that learning and recognition of that you have so much more to offer than just that.
Would you mind sharing? You are, I don't know if the right term is survivor. I'll go there. I'll call it survivor. You've got angels by your side. There's a reason you're still here. And many brave souls aren't, who went through what you did at their time, HIV in the 80s, back when it was considered a death sentence. Why do you feel you are here? And do you feel it has been angels by your side that help you to be here?
It's funny because I was just thinking about this in the shower this morning. It's because a lot of people, they ask, "What's your why? What's your why? Why?" And I was thinking about that. It's like, you know what? Oftentimes the why isn't all that important, because the why comes with judgment, good, bad. This is, honorable. This is, not so honorable. I think the W is the wow.
I'll call it the woohoo. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's the wow. It's like, wow, that happened and I'm still here. Wow, I learned so much to get to the other side. And the thing about, and it's funny because you said, survivor, right? You use that term. So, initially you're a victim, I don't like that, but getting on the other side of victim, we survivor. But the thing is, people live in survivor. And when you live in survivor, you're still holding on to that piece of victim. So if you're still holding on to that little teeny tiny piece of victim, then you're never going to be happy. Even being a survivor. I mean, people wear survivor as a badge of honor. It's like, no, get beyond that, and you'll find peace and love and forgiveness. I mean, that's where you want to live. And that's why I call it the wow.
When did you? There were a lot of inner demons chasing you growing up.
Mm-hmm.
When did you go from the inner demons, from the whoa, the woe is me, to the wow is me?
I also recognize those, dark shadows, doing the shadow work and all that. Those are angels too. They're there to teach you. So, the lessons can be really challenging, and you question if you're going to survive it. But they're there to teach us. And whatever that lesson is, and whatever it is that we need to go through, then there's a lesson in it. So I mean, it's not that I want to embrace my dark angels, but the dark angels are a part of the journey too.
You certainly wouldn't have a good movie if 35 minutes before the end you didn't have dark angels come out to play.
Well, where's the storyline? Where's the arc? Yeah.
So what did your coach tell you? You've hit your head, and I know that he said you don't have to continue.
Right.
But what did he tell you après, after that?
Okay, after, because when something like that happens, you lose all the confidence in yourself. You have absolutely no confidence. He said, look, I know after that, you have absolutely no confidence in yourself. I mean, when I made the decision that I wanted to continue, he said, you don't have to go on, and I'll support you 100% if you just want to walk away, and I'm behind you. And my response was, we worked too long and hard to get here, and I don't want to give up without a fight.
Yeah.
And he said, look, I know that this has shattered your confidence and the belief that you have in yourself. So believe in me because I believe in you. And then he said, come on, let's take a walk. And then on that walk, he was joking, and we were laughing. He said, oh yeah, hockey players, they get 30 stitches and get back on the ice. You got 5 stitches in your head. It's nothing. And so so we were laughing, we were cracking jokes about the whole thing. But it was, that's what happened. I mean, I knew that I had to let it go. I had to set it aside like it didn't happen. But it did happen. And so I set the board. I heard the dive announced, and it was going in the same direction. Greg Louganis reversed 1.5 with 3.5 twists, and I heard an audible gasp from the audience. And I was like, oh, because it was in the same direction. And then I took a deep breath and I patted my chest, took a deep breath, and it's like, oh. And the people who saw that started chuckling. It's like, oh my God, because it was like, oh my God, he's afraid and we're afraid. And, so we didn't know what was going to happen. And so it just made me laugh. And laughter takes the power out of fear. So, and that's something that I learned early in my career. It's like, if you can laugh at something, then it takes the power out of that fear. And so I just kind of threw my hands in the air. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And this is the Olympics, and you can't hold back.
And you didn't. Something so powerful that you just said, and it makes me think it was Ron an angel? And maybe you've used this statement with yourself since then. Believe in me because I believe in you. What does that mean to you?
What does that mean to me? Well, I knew because Ron and I had been, I dived, the last 10 years of my diving career was with Ron Bryant. I mean, he knew me inside and out. Most of our communication was nonverbal. We communicated. When we were in many competitions, it was like a dance. It was like a choreographed dance. We'd laugh, we'd joke, I'd dance. It would just flow. So for him to say, I know you don't believe in yourself, but believe in me because I believe in you. I knew that was the strength that I needed to pull from because I didn't have it in myself. So it was that strength and courage and belief that helped me do what I was ultimately able to do.
Do you now either say that to yourself, or do you go to spirit and hear, we believe in you?
I think oftentimes we forget. Or, we need reminders. Like you're reminding me right now. It's like, when's the last time I did that? It's like, oh yeah, So, so just, bringing it up and talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? I've been kind of neglecting that practice of, giving myself the pat on the back and believing in myself and moving, through the world with that intention.
Beautiful. Few last questions, then we'll begin to wrap things up. Although I've got to ask, and you can certainly say no to this. You talk about meditation in motion. Actually, we made a program years ago, mindful running. And we were teaching, in fact, I used to teach in Central Park, running and meditation. And for those who couldn't run, walking. So I'm with you, although you're taking it to a whole nother level. Do you have a meditation that you can actually share? We're not in motion, but at the very end, is there any sort of meditation you could lead us in?
Sure.
We'll do that. We'll do that at the end if you don't mind. Then I know I'm putting you on the spot, so feel free to reevaluate that and go, well, I'm not so sure about that. But so before we get there, then there's a direction I wanted to go in this. What's the song that you used to sing to yourself, and what's the meaning to you of this song today?
Reoccurring song that would come to me in most stressful situations was "Believe in Yourself" from The Wiz. I loved the musical The Wiz. I also loved The Wizard of Oz too, but I loved "Believe in Yourself" from The Wiz because it's when Dorothy has lost all faith and belief, and it's the fairy godmother who's singing, "Believe in Yourself," and believe in yourself as I believe in you. That's one of the lines in the song, and when you do feel lost, to have that belief in yourself and knowing and understanding that there's somebody or something that has that belief in you. For me, oftentimes that image for me was my mom, because she was always right by my side, very supportive, taught me what unconditional love was. And so, so that's kind of the meaning, just a reminder that there's those people that do believe in you and embrace them.
We got a little ping for confirmation from the universe. All right, before we wrap this up and dive into a brief meditation, where can people go? Do you have a website? Is there a place for meditation in motion? How do I support you and how do we all find out about this?
Yeah, the platform is Thinkific, and it's meditation in motion. Um, and actually, you can go to my website, and it'll um, um, greglouganis.com or louganis.com, and should have links and link you to all of that.
And can you tell us more about it for a minute? I want to spread this passion with the world. What you're doing sounds magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, meditation in motion, it really breaks down. I mean, because of my dog training, you break things down into the smallest increment of learning, and that was my idea and thought. And meditation motion, it breaks down all of those different elements of a meditation practice, which is your breath, body awareness, and visualization, and breaking those into elements and creating games, presenting them as games and having fun, having that childlike curiosity to explore and and venture into it. I mean, the visualization games that I give, it's so much fun. You're baking cookies, or you're on a roller coaster ride, or you're turning into a hummingbird, or something. But it's all to tap into utilizing all of your senses in your visualization work, because oftentimes there are certain senses that are stronger that can connect us to the visualization practice, whether it's sense of smell, touch, taste, texture, sound, so I explore all that and giving it in small little increments so that everybody can be successful and create your own meditation practice.
I love it. And you're teaching kids what they already know but are soon to forget if they're not taught it, which is that make believe or daydreaming is the most powerful thing in the world, and how to strengthen those muscles rather than let them atrophy.
Definitely. I mean, your mind is a playground, and used proper, challenging it, then you realize there are no limits. There really are no limits.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Two last questions. I'm a kid in a candy store with you, Greg. This is so much fun. I got to go back to the angels. I guess it's a two-part. What do angels mean to you, and how do you reach out and connect or ask?
I feel that I'm always connected. So it's like the angels are there. It's just sometimes I'm not mindful
Mhm.
and forget. Um, and but they definitely remind me that they are there, that they are present. And I don't call out to them, like for asking for anything. It's just an awareness. It can be, like, oh, all of a sudden a warm breeze, like, ooh, what was that? And then you aware, oh my God, I'm in this beautiful place. A reminder to take the time to notice something, about, you know, I'm surrounded by, all of, God's gifts.
Yeah. They're bringing you back to presence, to
Yeah,
this perfect, sweet moment.
yeah.
Any last words you want to share? I guess if we had to wrap this up and compass this, is somewhere between angels and believing yourself, which may be one and the same. But any last words of wisdom you'd want to share with people today?
I don't know. I kind of like the idea that came up. I mean, it's the first time I've shared it. Is almost like living in the wow. You know, live in those wow moments. It's not so important the why and analyze this and judge that. But just wow.
Woohoo! I'm sporting twin titanium femurs, twin titanium hips, a few other associated parts. I run like, what's that?
I have one.
You do? Oh,
Yeah, I got a new hip 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Yeah.
awesome, awesome, awesome. So we're titanium hip brothers.
Yeah.
And you, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
You know what was interesting with that whole experience is, I did a meditation practice, and I realized after I had my hip put in, I realized I still thought of the hip outside myself. I didn't, I didn't embrace it. I didn't integrate it. I was like, oh, wow. So yeah, so that was a process too. It was interesting.
My first near death experience, my first accident taught me, or I don't even know if taught me is the right word. We're not even going to go there. Out of that experience came woohoo, which I actually kept quite subdued. I didn't want to freak you out here today. But when the energy comes up, I'm woohoo, I'm just over the top excited. That's the wow you're talking about. Would you mind sharing a brief meditation of your calling, anything of your sort, Greg?
Sure.
Whenever you're ready, go for it.
Generally, when I start a meditation practice, I start with the breathing exercise.
Okay.
So start with box breathing. So we're inhale for 8, hold for 4, exhale for 8, hold for 4.
Okay.
And we'll do, let's say, 5 rounds of that. So expel all the air out of your lungs. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Relax. Just focus on your breath. You aware of your body. Just take a scan of your body from the top of your head, going down. Just bring awareness to it, no judgment. Top of your head, your ears, eyebrows, the back of your eyes, cheeks, your nose, your lips, your jaw. Just bring awareness to it. Focus on your breath. Down to your neck, top of your shoulders. Just bring awareness. Deltoids. Down to your upper arms, your biceps, your triceps, down to your elbows. Just bring awareness to it. Be aware of any congestion, any tightness, anything. Focus on your breath. Awareness to your elbows, your forearms, down to your wrists. your hands, your feet. Take a breath and bring awareness to those areas. Starting from the top of your chest, your pecs, your lats, back, your scapula, the upper back, down to your cage, down to the lower back, your waist, your abdomen, your hips. Just bring awareness, take a breath. From the upper legs, your thighs, your hamstrings. Feel your seat in your buttocks in your seat. The weight is there. Just bring awareness to it. Legs down to your knees, your shins, your calves, your ankles, tops of your feet, your toes, the bottoms of your feet, your heels. Just let any stress, any congestion go. Now I want you to imagine the crown of your head. This beautiful white healing light just beaming down, just right to the crown of your head, just filling up the crown of your head, radiating down through your head, neck. This beautiful light that you're breathing in. Down your shoulders, down your upper torso, down to your belly. Just feel that white light, that white healing energetic light just flowing into you, filling up your body. Filling down into your legs, your upper legs, to your knees, to your lower legs, down to your feet. Take a breath. Now I want you to imagine somebody in your life that you're having a little difficult time with. Notice how they're sitting or standing. Just bring awareness of their presence. Somebody who challenges you. Be aware of the expression on their face, their posture. Bring awareness to your environment. You're filled with this beautiful white healing light. Now imagine this person in front of you, taking away all of their stress and feeding into them this beautiful white light that you're filled with, sharing that beautiful white healing light, generating that in that individual that you may be struggling with. Sending them love, forgiveness, your joy, taking away all of their stress, all of their anxiety, just allowing that to melt away, embracing them with your beautiful white healing light. See how that other person, their expression changes. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How are they transformed? What is their posture like? You're filling them full of that beautiful white healing light. That's pure joy, pure love. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Just pouring all that love and compassion and joy and peace to that other person. Just be with that joy, be with that person, just in that space of love and compassion. Embracing them with that healing light that they so desperately needed. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Feel the weight of your body sinking into the seat. Feeling your feet coming back to the present. Deep breath in. Exhale. Open your eyes when you're ready. What'd that feel like?
Really, really good. Really, really good.
I mean, it's that love and compassion that we can have for everybody in our lives.
Greg, you are an angel. You are my friend, my brother. You are so, so special. I am so, so honored that you're here today, here on the show, here on Earth, that you are doing what you are meant to do, which is sharing your light with the world in whatever way it comes up, whatever step is in front of you. You take it as truly authentic you. And I cannot thank you enough for that. This has been woohoo! Amazing. Gonna bring it back up for the finish here. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, believe in yourself, and dive into the wow today. And above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! That was an extraordinary interview. I didn't expect it to go there. I went to the angels, I went to the guides, and I said, where are we going to go today? And it went right back to the angels. If you want to learn how to channel the angels yourself, get the automatic writing experience, where you can literally turn your journaling into channeling, and you can begin writing to the angels yourself. Simply go to automaticwriting.com or go to Amazon or your local bookseller and bring that receipt back to automaticwriting.com and get tons and tons of bonuses. Get a copy for somebody else to help them connect with the angels. Get a copy for somebody who's struggling to help them feel better for the angels. And get one for your local library so that everyone everywhere can connect with the angels as well. I've already finished the interview, but I'm sending Greg more love. I'm sending Greg more love. I'm sending Greg even more love. To check out more amazing interviews, click here. Be sure to subscribe below and click on that bell icon to be notified of shows, upcoming shows, YouTube premieres, live events with me. Check out the Manifestation Mastery Circle at InspireNationUniversity.com, where I'm channeling Florence Scovel Shin for this coming month. Daily attunements, if you want daily inspiration, if you want a daily dose of Jessica and myself, be sure to click on the join button below. Daily videos with Jessica and myself, behind the scenes stuff, and everything designed to raise your vibration to the angels and beyond. Well, to raise your vibration as close to the angels as we can. Love you guys so much. Shine bright.